Even days after the first fire at Tianjin, there's a lot we don't yet know about what caused it or what dangers could still be ahead. Hazardous chemicals expert David Leggett joins us now via Skype from Los Angeles. Thanks so much for being with us. What's your sense of the challenge that the firefighters are still facing?
Well, I think we've already seen one challenge, and that is the big concern of ongoing explosions, probably because of some extreme hotspots within the devastated area. And the second big concern would be the presence of sodium cyanide in and around the area.
Well, let me stop you right there. Published accounts, unconfirmed reports say there may be as much as 700 tons of sodium cyanide. What is it and how dangerous is it?
Sodium cyanide is a very toxic chemical. It will take about a quarter of a teaspoon to kill you. So it's a very, very small amount. Another problem with sodium cyanide is that it can change into prussic acid, which is even more deadly. And so the whole business of trying to clean up this mess is difficult. And let me just add why. After the explosion, assuming that the sodium cyanide was in the warehouse, the explosion would have likely distributed the sodium cyanide as a powder over a very large distance, maybe as much as a mile radius. And so now the subsequent cleanup is really complicated by that.
Now, the authorities have evacuated the immediate area to a radius of 3 kilometers. In miles, I guess we're talking about 2 miles. Is that enough, or are the people there who are still very afraid, are they still in danger?
That, at the moment, I believe that that's a prudent distance to evacuate them out to. It's certainly what we recommend here in the United States when you read the material safety data sheets for hazardous and toxic chemicals.
Well, but do the material data safety sheets talk about hundreds of tons of these chemicals? I'm just wondering, how great is the possibility now of more fire and more explosions, even as the firefighters try and get control of this area?
That is a very difficult question to answer for two reasons. The first is we really don't know how much of the chemicals that were in the store, in the warehouse, have actually been destroyed by the fire. There's a reasonable assumption that a good portion of them are, but we don't know how many. Number two, we don't know what they really are. I find it hard to believe that there are only 4 chemicals in this warehouse. I would expect there's a lot more than that. And the third thing is, with these ongoing fires, this makes life even more difficult. So they have a very, very difficult task in front of them for the next 2 or 3 days.
And what do they use? By all accounts, you can't use water. In fact, water may have sparked some of the explosions. What material would they have in sufficient quantity to protect themselves, to protect the people around from hundreds of tons of these toxins?
At the moment, the first thing they need to do is to find out what those chemicals are. However, if you look at the material safety data that we have in this country for sodium cyanide and look under the heading of spills, the recommendation is that water can be used to manage the spill, provided that the water is then collected. I'm afraid that being close to an ocean, there's going to be a strong temptation to maybe just simply try and wash the stuff into the ocean.
David Leggett.
I don't know, but
it's frightening. It's frightening what's happened. It's frightening what's still ahead. Thank you so much for your expertise.
You're very welcome.